Let's talk about, I guess, some of what was written over the weekend. David Kostin's note is a highlight, just looking at historical short squeezes and the short Goldman basket, which, in his words, is the biggest squeeze that we've seen in more than 25 years.
Once again, David represents pretty much everybody, straightforward. And I think the most important page of his piece is the list of stocks that are short and the value, how much money is actually involved. What I did was I looked at the top 7, and you really come to about $70 billion. If $70 billion is going to bring down the stock market, then I say you've got an opportunity here that you wouldn't believe. And I say that because, in part, because I've got to tell you, Carl, while stocks are down a lot, the companies that had good earnings are down, too, along with bad because of future selling. David, you understand when you look at that list that you're really talking about some companies that know how to deal with this, particularly AMC Entertainment, where we've got Adam Aron offering at-the-money stock to be able to raise versus his $900 million bond deal. But they've got a lot of very high callable debt. That's really the only one there that is struggling to stay alive. GameStop is struggling for relevance. I think there's an opportunity. It's very hard to figure out what Ryan Cohen's plan is when he's very quiet. Bed Bath is an option, is one that I think is very interesting because there you have Mark Tritton making a very big turn. But you have people starting to say, wait a second, that one is really a company that can hurt when we return to regular time. So, I mean, we've got some that are valuation, David, and some that are actually taking advantage of the squeeze. American Airlines did that last week. So it's a creative way to be able to raise money. I'm trying to stay away from, we can, of course, talk Robinhood, but I'm trying to stay away from the notion that this is big enough to topple the market. And Kostin really makes that point. Kostin is excellent. Once again, he's neutral. He's trying to get it right, and he is unemotional.
Yeah. I mean, you know, this morning, and I want to talk with you about Robinhood as well, because I do find it fascinating in terms of what the future of that company is going to look like, Jim. But let's come back to this morning, and it's not about stocks, as you well know, and Carl knows. It's about silver in particular, which seems to be the next target of this so-called Reddit cohort, or the merry men, I guess you may still be calling them, Jim. I mean, I don't want people to forget that it was weeks, if not months ago, that you started to really focus us on these Reddit chat rooms prior to them becoming so well known sort of nationwide. And we did so in part because of the enthusiasm for certain SPACs, some of the vitriol that you and I were both getting in terms of some companies in the EV space. But again, they're now focused on silver. We see what's going on with some of these ETFs. But, Jim, when I look at this commodity, it's not necessarily one where there is a large short position in the commodity itself, is there? Yes, hedge funds use short positions in the ETFs to help hedge. But it's an interesting dynamic here. Not quite sure how it's going to play out, although they are sending them up dramatically.
Yeah, people have to recognize that silver is while a precious metal, David, is chiefly used for LED. It's used for a great deal for autos. Obviously, it's a great deal for jewelry. When you take it away, you're talking about a market that is very small. There are only 2 stocks that are really investable. You'll see a lot that are trading. But Pan American Silver does have 17.5 million silver ounces. They failed to deliver on the amount that they'd like to do. They're predicting this year to do 22.5 million. That is actually very big. The other one that I find that is, let's say, worthy of investment is Wheaton Precious Metals. The stock is up big. They have 820,000 in ounces per year they intend to put out. And then everybody else, David, is really too small. Obviously, people are using the ETF silver. Do I think that they're misdirected in taking it up? I do think that if you think the GDP is going to grow, you might have something winning in silver, but it is GDP-oriented. This is the first thing that they have targeted that, frankly, has a limit because there's not that much silver out there. But at the same time, David, what it is used is not for ornamental. So, therefore, you really do need a step up in business in order to make that invaluable. Carl, when we look at what they've written about, so to speak, and what they've talked about on Reddit and Wall Street Bets, I think what you're saying is, look, there's a lot of people who may think they're manipulating. I think they're just telling a story, telling a lot of stories. And you either believe, let's go back to Bed Bath. You either believe that Mark Tritton's doing a good job or you don't.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.